Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called Gem of Purest Ray. Eleftherios Moraides. M-O-R-A-I.
I know how to spell it. I'm Greek, too.
Are you? I didn't get your name.
Pappas. Nick Pappas, Detective Sergeant, first grade. We got your address, 47 North 51st Street. Well, thank you, sir, Dr. Moraides.
I'm sorry I don't speak modern Greek. I assume that to mean, how do you do, though?
That's right.
Well, Kala.
Well, you Kala, huh? After killing this guy.
I have no regrets at all, Mr. Pappas, is it?
That's right. Well, go ahead.
There's nothing more to say.
You know that what you're saying will be used in evidence against you, don't you?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting pretty tired of it, Pappas.
Of what, Dr. Moraides?
Killing these people.
Oh?
Do you suppose they'll...
Electrocute you? They sure will, Moraides.
Electrocute. What a word.
Quite an experience, too. They tell me.
I wasn't thinking about the experience. It's the barbarism of the word that sets my teeth on edge. Words like electrocute, locate, reside.
What's the matter with them?
They get me down.
Well, not to change the subject, but what about these other people you mentioned?
Oh. I was just thinking, as long as they're going to send me to the electric chair...
Oh, you're on the way, okay, Moraides.
Well, in that case, I might as well tell you about the others.
Sure. Go right ahead.
And I could warn you at the same time.
Warn me?
Yes.
Warn me of what?
These people that have to be killed.
Oh? Who are they, Moraides?
I'm of perfectly sound mind, Sergeant Pappas.
You bet. Now, let's get this conversation over with first, huh? Then we'll get on to the warning, huh? Okay.
Well, so far as I can remember, there are 32 of them.
All together?
That I've murdered. Killed.
This one makes 33.
No, he's the 32nd.
Well, nice going. You have their names, I suppose?
No, not all of them. As a matter of fact, I have the names of only a few of them. I could give you the details of the murders, you see, and perhaps you could work back from that.
Yeah, I suppose we could, couldn't we?
But there are so many more of them.
So?
You find them everywhere.
Good.
And they've all got to be destroyed.
Who's going to destroy them?
Well, I've destroyed 32 of them. And now you're going to hang me.
Objection, Doctor. We're going to fry you.
For trying to save the world.
For knocking off Mr. Oliver Meredith, 38, of 202 South Winter Street, to which you have confessed. And for which you will be fried like a fish.
I am not a fish.
Not yet.
He's a fish.
Who's a fish?
This Meredith that I killed.
Say, you may get out yet on a loony plea.
Sergeant Pappas, did you see Meredith's body?
Sure.
Did you look at it carefully?
Careful enough to see he was dead. Dead as a fish.
Did you notice his neck?
No. What?
There are 2 scars on his neck. On each side. Just below his ears.
That's the coroner's business, Doctor.
It's your business. It's everybody's business.
Why?
Because that's the way you can identify them.
Identify who, for gosh
The
sake?
people that are trying to destroy the world.
Who?
The people from the bottom of the ocean. Those scars on their necks are gills. Gills like a fish. Excuse me, I'm becoming ungrammatical. I mean, they are gills
such as fishes possess.
No fins?
I beg you, Sergeant, please don't joke about this.
And they come from the bottom of the ocean.
They do.
Lean over here. Turn your head. The other way now. How come you got scars on the sides of your neck, Dr. Moraitis? You been to the bottom of the ocean, too?
Yes. Those are my gills. Yes. I've been to the bottom of the ocean, too. We Greeks have an enormous affinity for the depths of the seas. Our first heroes were men of the sea, Jason, and Odysseus and the others. We were a sea-going, a sea-loving nation. And the very words we use to describe the sea today came from the Greek, Pelagian, of the sea. From the Greek, pelagos. Plankton, the microscopic animal forms that lie at various levels in the ocean depths. That's a Greek word, too.
Plankton, a wanderer.
And Atlantis was one of our colonies. Atlantis, whose people so loved the sea that the gods of ancient Greece sunk the whole continent into its depths.
You believe that kind of junk?
And you'd better believe it, too. Sergeant Pappas of the police?
Yeah?
Because Atlantis exists today. And its people live. And the ambassadors of Atlantis come from the sea to live beside us and sow seeds of discontent and hatred among us wherever we live. You remember me now, don't you? The Moraitis Deep Sea Exploration Group, that's right. Men have gone down to the depths of the sea before. William Beebe and his bathysphere, you remember, of course. Bathysphere, we Greeks again. Comes from bathos. Depths. But I wanted to go deeper, to plumb the utmost depths of the sea. To get down to the valleys that extend farther below the sea's level and the highest peaks on earth ascend above it. I wanted to find Atlantis. I found myself in possession of certain documents, charts, maps, the existence of which had heretofore never been suspected. And I found the exact coordinates of latitude and longitude of the ancient city, the capital of the country that sank below the waves so many, many centuries ago. No, never mind them. It will do you no good to know them. Let it suffice that the depth is something more than 8 miles. I beg pardon?
I said, go on.
No need to tell you either of the details of the construction of my diving bell. It was made to my own specifications, internally braced to withstand the pressure of several tons to the square inch. There was light and heat and large ports set in the sides with cone-shaped plexiglass deadlights, so that no matter what the pressure of the water from the outside, the plexiglass would be only forced in tighter.
But the thing busted anyway, didn't it?
That was the story. What really happened was somewhat different.
Get on with your story, Doctor.
If you'd just not interrupt me.
Go ahead.
If you read the newspaper accounts at the time...
When was it?
May 17th, 1946.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that you might have remembered that there was no physical connection between the bell and the surface. That is, it was not on a cable of any kind. It was free.
How'd you expect to get back?
By releasing ballast, of course, upon which the bell and the people in it, if any, would rise to the surface. We had, of course, radio contact with our headquarters ship on the surface.
And you and the woman...
Miss Elizabeth Case.
You
my
and...
assistant.
Yes. You and this Miss Case went down in this thing, and it busted or something, and they pulled you out of the ocean at Old Saybrook, Connecticut. They never found Miss Case's body. Is that right?
They didn't find Miss Case's body because she is still alive. Or was when I last saw her.
Oh, yeah? And when did you last see her, Doc?
Standing in front of the Temple of Poseidon.
And where is this Temple of Poseidon, if you please?
In Atlantis. 40-some thousand feet below the surface of the ocean.
And what was she doing, Doc?
She was talking to the high priest.
Talking. 40,000 feet underwater, and she talks. Well, Doc, you're really bucking for a Section 8, aren't you?
I am telling you the truth, Sergeant Puppers.
Okay, go ahead. As long as you don't get violent.
It is very quiet in the lower depths of the ocean. I remember the bathymeter showed a depth of 8,000 meters, that is, roughly 20,000 feet, when we saw the first inhabitant of the ocean, completely different from any previous conception of ocean life.
Doctor, look out this port.
See something?
Look.
Well,
I wonder if it's alive.
it seems to be.
It looks like a great big sheet. I don't see any eyes or a mouth or anything. It's coming closer.
It's alive, all right. This is wonderful, isn't it?
Well, Doctor, it is alive.
Looks like a blanket. Oh, it's turning over. Now maybe we'll see what...
What did she scream about?
The thing turned over. Then we saw the other side.
Well?
The thing was a huge face. A human face. A woman's face. Paper-thin, flesh-colored, and alive. 30 feet across like a huge mask. And the thing looked at us, and it smiled. And it darted toward us, and Betty screamed again as the thing wrapped itself around the diving bell. And I could see the plexiglass ports start inward with the increased pressure. And then I looked closer at the port, and across its surface outside there in the water, 1,000,000 tiny hands. Women's hands crawled across the glass, clutching, reaching, trying to come inside.
And what did you do then, Doc?
I am afraid I fainted.
Mm-hmm. What about Miss Kate?
She fainted, too.
I sort of expected that.
Well, why shouldn't she? The face that she looked at out there in the depths of the sea was her own.
Better and better, Dr. Moraitis. Then what?
It was black outside when I came to. Black and immeasurably cold. The thing was gone. There was nothing but blackness. I gave her some brandy.
Always brandy in these stories.
And I took a little myself.
Oh.
The bathymeter indicated 9,200 meters.
And you saw a red, white, and blue turkey with a straw hat.
I saw far below me the lights of a city. I saw Atlantis. Well?
Go on, Doc.
I show you this jewel.
Yeah? What is it?
I found it on the floor of my diving bell. A moment after I saw the lights of Atlantis below me.
How did it get there?
I don't know.
Well, what is it?
You ever read Thomas Gray's elegy written in a country churchyard?
I guess so. In high school. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. Why?
Let me quote one of the couplets to you. Full many a gem of purest ray serene the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bear.
Go on, Doctor.
I suspect that Thomas Gray was trying to tell the world something.
That's kind of reaching for it, Doctor.
I didn't know where it came from, I told you.
That's right.
But Betty Case knew. Betty Case gasped when she saw it.
Where did that come from?
Well, I don't know. It was on the floor.
Give it to me.
Well, what are you so anxious?
Because it's mine.
Oh, well, I had a weird idea it came from outside. Isn't that silly?
No, Dr. Moraitis. It isn't silly.
What?
It did come from outside.
And the two red scars on her neck. Just below her ears. The red scars I had never noticed before pulsed as she spoke. And I was struck with a queer, fleeting thought. Why? She looks just like a fish. Out of water. And I could feel the motion of the diving bell quicken, and in a moment it was like an express elevator dropping down out of control from some great height. Betty's face was laughing at me, and queer things sped past the ports. The light grew stronger in my mind to real. Suddenly I was flung to the floor, the bell as it thumped against the bed of the ocean. The altimeter registered 13,800 meters below sea level. We had come to rest 8 miles below the surface where the sun danced on the waves. And we sat in bright light in the streets of Atlantis.
Well, it's a great story, Dr. Moraitis.
A crowd of people in the street. A crowd of people dressed in the garments of ancient Greece. A sound of music that set the beryllium steel walls of the diving bell to humming. Men and women and children in the light of great lamps beaming down from tall marble columns. Men and women and children living and moving and breathing 8 miles below the ocean surface. And I turned to look at Betty Case.
I remembered, Doctor, when I saw the jewel. I remembered when I dreamed after the face looked in on us and I fainted. And when I saw the jewel...
This can't be. This is utterly, fantastically impossible.
No, it is not, Doctor. Look outside.
They're coming closer. Betty, look out. Do you see them?
Yes, I see. It isn't impossible, Doctor. This is Atlantis.
It can't be.
It is. It's Atlantis. I'm home again.
And she started for the door of the diving bell. Started reaching out for the mechanism that would unlock it. That would open and let the sea in to crush us both. And I leaped in front of it to prevent her. But she raised the jewel and held it in front of my eyes, and I felt my strength leave me suddenly. And all I could see was the coruscating brightness of the jewel burning into my eyes. And all I could hear was her voice, echoing hollowly against the steel wall.
No. Never seek to stop me now, man of earth.
And I thought idly of the archaic form of speech she employed. This girl who was on earth the most prosaic, dry as dust, laboratory assistant.
Never seek to stay my hand. Nor turn thy eyes away from the gem of purest ray. For thy face is before thee now, and thou shalt go forth into the depths where mortal man hath not yet trod.
And I thought with considerable surprise, why, she's speaking the purest of ancient Greek. And I'm understanding it.
Now let thee become as one of us.
And I watched her calmly as she extended the gleaming jewel toward me. I felt it touch the sides of my neck just below the ears, and a searing cold pain went through my body. And suddenly I was gasping for breath. I drew in great gulps of the oily air of the diving bell, and with each breath I grew weaker and weaker. I was suffocating, like a fish out of water. And as the darkness shot with flashes of red descended upon me, and I knew I was dying, I dimly saw her touch the scar on her neck with a jewel, and she was gasping suddenly, too. And I saw her reach again for the lever that operated the door, and it burst open. And I felt life returning to me as I breathed in great lungfuls of cold, pure salt water. Great. And old Fosan gave me my own jewel. The jewel that lies on your desk there. Fosan the elder, with his white beard and a look of antiquity in his eyes, he has lived since Atlantis first disappeared beneath the ocean. Posan spoke to me many times.
Never lose the jewel, Eleftherios. When you go back to the land, you'll need it to change you back from a water breather to an air breather, you see.
I'm going back then?
Yes, of course. There are a great many messages that I want to send to our people on the land. Messages that cannot be trusted to our ordinary radio, you see. Because the time is almost here.
The time?
I forgot that you didn't know.
Is Betty going back with me?
No, she stays here. She'll be here when you come back.
Or must I come back?
You don't want to die, do you?
What do you mean?
There isn't going to be any place for you to live up there, you know.
What?
Sit down, son. You're happy, aren't you?
I'm pretty confused, sir.
No doubt.
May I ask you some questions?
You can ask them, yes.
Well, how is it done?
Our living here? Time enough for that. We live. Isn't that enough?
No.
Next question.
Well, Betty, she's from the land, isn't she?
Originally, yes. Did you ever hear of the bark Marie Celeste?
I seem
It
to.
was lost with all hands. That is, all hands were lost. They found the ship, sailing along with all its sails set, food on the table, still hot, and nobody aboard. It was one of the greatest mysteries of the sea.
I remember.
Betty was a passenger on the Marie Celeste.
But that was more than 100 years ago.
Yes, that's so. And the Cyclops that was lost in your World War in 1918. Remember that?
Yes?
They're all here. The Cyclops crew.
They are?
Well, except those we sent up to the surface.
Well, what do you send those people up there for?
Well, we've decided that we are the ones that the world belongs to, Eleftherios. You people up on the surface have made a pretty bad mess of things. And we're going to take it away from you.
How?
What we want is a world that's covered with water everywhere. Land is useless to us.
But
what?
the people up there. My people.
Are you proud of your people, Eleftherios?
Well,
Of course. Look, son, we're essentially kind-hearted people down here. And we're a great many. There are more of us than there are people on the land.
well, yes, but
Don't interrupt. You think your people are so clever. Where do you think they get their knowledge?
What, for instance?
Of ways to make war, for instance. Of ways to make deadlier and deadlier war. They didn't think of those things themselves. You know where they got their ideas.
You're not going to tell me.
Oh, but I am. Look, son, there are right now 65,211 Atlanteans on the surface of the earth. In every country that's known. And some that aren't very well known. They speak every language. They look like Earth people, except for the two little scars on their necks. And they're doing a great job.
I don't believe it.
Well, you'd better believe it, son, because one of these fine days your little friends upstairs are going to blast all the continents right off the face of the earth. You know what happens then? Yes, that's right. There won't be anything but water on this little old planet. So you can make your choice. You can use your jewel like the other Atlanteans up there will, and come on back down here. Or, blub, son. Blub. Strictly blub.
I
Even
don't...
if that thing doesn't kill you when it goes off. So, what do you say?
What do you want me to do?
Go on back for a while and help us in our little whispering campaign to destroy the continent.
I won't do it.
Well, son, down here on the bottom, we've solved the problem of combating pressure. If you decide not to come along with us, we'll just take that control off you. Tap you with the business end of the little jewel here, and you know what'll happen?
I have an idea.
Oh, no. No, you haven't. You haven't any idea. But, son, it will be awful. Come on, make up your mind. And?
What?
I said, and?
Well, I'm here. I don't know how they did it, but I'm here.
You certainly are. Well, you've been passing the word to the little ambassadors what the old gentleman wants back?
I have not. I told you I've killed 32 of them so far, including Miss Meredith.
It's a great alibi.
You think I'm going to betray the people of the earth, man?
You're betraying the people of the sea, aren't you?
What?
You heard me. Well, it's a great story, Doc.
I knew that you wouldn't believe me.
It's a great story.
But you don't believe it.
Think I'm crazy?
What?
Of course I believe it, Doc.
What?
Sure I do.
Well, then.
Come here, Doc.
What do you want?
I want you to look at the sides of my neck, Doc. Just below the ears.
You.
Sure, Doc. See?
What are you
I'm
going
not
to do?
going to electrocute you, Doc. Nah, Doc. The old gentleman downstairs has got better tricks than that for people to try to cross him up. Come on, Doc. Pick up your crystal. You and I have got a date in Atlantis. And, oh, brother.
Quiet Please for tonight was called Gem of Purest Ray. It was written and directed by Willis Cooper, and Moraides, the man who spoke to you, was Ernest Chappell. And Morton Lawrence played Pappas. Sharita Bauer was Betty Case. Edgar Staley was Fosan, the Atlantean. As usual, music for Quiet Please is played by Albert Berman. Now for a word from our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Never having been to the bottom of the sea, I'm uncertain whether the various Atlanteans really exist outside my own imagination. I can assure you, however, that none of the characters in tonight's story are based on any living person, or any dead one, for that matter. Next week's Quiet Please is called In the House Where I Was Born.
And so, until next week at this same time, and Mr. Cooper's story, In the House Where I Was Born, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please has come to you from Mutual Studios in New York City. This is the world's largest network, the Mutual Broadcasting System.